I'm just having a discussion with Herbie about what our escape route from here is. It's fine. And so our plan will be, he's just basically saying if the elephant comes into the open here, we've moved quite a long way away. He walked a little bit towards us, and I think he definitely knows that we're around. And I think that's probably because he heard us and then looked up and we were standing in the sun. That's not a train smash at all. He didn't react in a negative way, and so I'm not worried about that at all. I am worried about this earpiece, which is shortly going to be snapped and then stomped on. Excuse me. And so what Herbie was saying is that if he comes closer towards us, we'll just head down and west and use this termite mound as cover as we go. But I don't know where he is at this stage. He's just down below here somewhere. See, I think he comes to have a quick look, and then if we move away, he's not interested in trying to find us or do us any harm. And actually, as he came out into the open for a little bit, just after you left us last. And he's not that big. He's got massive tusks, and I think that he's probably only about 30 years old. I don't think he's a very old elephant at all. I think he's going to get much bigger. Herbert's just gone down to have a look. Now, the reason we send Herbie down to have a look is obviously he's a lot more maneuverable than we are, because he's on his own and he doesn't have the great big camera that Craig's carrying, or the great big pack that Craig's carrying. He's moving down the other way now. Kath, you say, do they look bigger on foot? Yes, absolutely, they look bigger on foot. You know, you can get a full sense. He's moving quite quickly off to the west. He's directly where my stick is pointing. He's in the bushes there. He's a long way from us. So he's changed direction. Kath, you can get a full sense of their size until you are standing quite close to them, and then it's really quite scary. There he is. You see him? Yeah. Ah, he's so cool. And Victor, you're wondering very appropriately how quick elephants are. They're much quicker than you or I, Victor, unless you were perhaps a 100-meter champion. An elephant can apparently run at between 45 and 50 kilometers an hour. That's pretty quick when you consider that to run the 100 meters in 10 seconds, which very few of us can do. I'm certainly not one. Can you run the 100 meters in 10 seconds, Craig?
Just over.
Just over, says Craig. So even he can't. But that's running at 36 kilometers an hour. So an elephant bull like that will run at least 4 kilometers an hour, or at least 4 or 5 kilometers an hour faster than a man able to run the 100 in 10 seconds. He's now looking straight at us. There's no question he can see us. And you'll hear that elephants have got bad eyesight. I don't believe it for a second. I think sometimes they choose not to see us. Sometimes the angle, Steph explained to me quite nicely, sometimes the angle at which you stand relative to them can sort of render them unsighted. Hello Maggie, you say, is this bull considered a super tusker? Maggie, he's not yet. A super tusker is 100 pounds on each side. That's all over 45 kilograms or so on each side. I think maybe he will be when he gets older. You know what? The term super tusker for me is a little bit like the term big five. It comes from hunting, which I almost universally consider to be a practice that belongs up there with slavery and the burning of witches at the stake. And so anything kind of to do with it, certainly the terminology that we've been left with from the hunting traditions, I tend to try and stay away from. So is he a super tusker? Yes, he probably could be a super tusker one day. But the less credence we give to that stuff, the less people are going to start looking for them, the less people will try to hunt them, and I suppose the less aware we will be of the tusk size, and the more aware that we'll be of just what they're doing with the ecology of the area, if you know what I mean. He's agreeing with me there by giving us a very fine, flatulent bubble. Leslie, while we're looking at this elephant, you say, are the tusks hollow or solid? They're solid for about 2/3 of the way, Leslie, and about 1/3 of the way down there's a sort of, it's a bit like calamari. It's a huge nerve that goes down into the center of the tusk in a cone shape, and it'll go about 1/3 of the way down, maybe 1/4 of the way down, an elephant with tusks that size. So about 1/4 of the way down goes this nerve, and then it's a very thin layer of ivory then, and then it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, and then for the sort of bottom 75% or 66% perhaps in a smaller tusked elephant, you'll find that the tusks are completely solid. We're not going to try another approach of this chap because he has seen us now and he's obviously aware of where we are. I'm not sure what we're going to do from here. We might actually just head straight back down to Treehouse Dam and see what else is having a drink down there. And then we'll make our way slowly towards the north as the sun begins its inexorable sinking down towards the western horizon. All right, Herbert, shall we make our way out of here? Sideways. I think sideways is the best option, otherwise we'll end up on our faces. While I attempt not to fall on my face and Craig has to carry this rather unwieldy thing down the termite mound, let's head across to Tayla and get an update about her activities for the late autumn evening.
Well, I have a safety pin that has come out. Look at this. Geraldine, I'm being jabbed. And you can see my thumb has still got colouring on it from when it was a tortoise thumb too. I need to take this out somehow. Let me remove the safety pin so it doesn't keep jabbing me. We will have a loose swing. I still need to show you what I actually look like. Hang on, let me do this. Aha! That is why. It is a bent safety pin. That can go down there. Right, and we'll get up ahead just now and then I'll jump out and I'll show you how I can flap my wings. And if I do it quick enough, I actually hover off the ground slightly, which is really amazing. I'm just joking, of course I don't, sadly. Now, I quickly jumped into the Mulwati to have a little look around there, but sadly, you know what it's like in the Mulwati. It's the favorite hideaway point for the gremlins. It's where they stand up on the banks and leap down onto the cars. And what I had noticed is there's lots of little elephant water wells that have been dug over the last couple of days. So there is a lot of water around at the moment. But as we've said in the past, is that elephants enjoy drinking nice fresh water. And some of the cleanest water that you'll find in this area is underneath the soil, or not the soil, the sand in riverbeds. So in the Mulwati, it's lovely. And the water was crystal clear as it was coming out of the ground. So that was quite nice. I'd rather drink that straight out of there without boiling it or anything than drinking the water that Steph drinks out of those mud wallows. So it always makes me very nervous. Sock water, yes. The delicious sock water. Not so great. So bumbling around at the moment. Brian says for his last afternoon drive, we got to very quickly see an elephant swimming before they ran away, which was good. So we checked that off the list, and you would have seen it on the dam cam as well. And then the last request for the evening is to see a pangolin. A pangolini. We were looking for pangolinis, but I don't know if we're going to have a pangolin, but you never know.
A close second is a chameleon.
A chameleon! Maybe we can organise a chameleon for Brian. We'll have to wait until we can bring the spotlight out. And we last time, the lions calling, there were hyenas, 3 male lions. And of course, talking of lions, it seems like Tristan has made his way back to the lions.
Have indeed, because no dense and thick it is in a little riverbed. I'm not going to go walking around there and put in pressure on her out of this heat of the day. I did look very carefully for her tracks and I didn't see anything, so unfortunately she's gone into one of those thickets, but that's okay. I'll still sit with the lions, because the lions are very far from where they saw her this morning with the cubs. It must be about, I would say, 500 meters away, so if she does move around that area and anything sees her and alarm calls, I will be able to hear from here, which is good. Now you can see 2 of the cubs are having an early dinner. They've decided to get a little bit of suckling action, and I don't think they're getting very much because they seem to be fighting quite a lot over that one nipple, and you can see this female every now and then just puts her head up and Oh, looks like a little bit of bonding in the background there. Look, the little cubs put a paw on the mom's head. That's amazing. I always love when the lions are affectionate and the little cubs come and play. Special thing to watch. Now, I can tell you that while we've been sitting here, I've been absolutely mutilated by these biting flies. So I can't imagine what the poor lions are experiencing when they go inside their ears and around their eyes and up their noses. But it's been bad enough just on us. They've been landing on our legs and arms, and it's been quite uncomfortable actually sitting here. So the poor lions are having a tough time, and you can see every now and then moving their legs, and their tails and the ears are going all the time. So really quite a number of insects out and about this evening. And I reckon this is going to be the last push of insects. We had that cold little snap the other day that sort of slowed quite a bit of the insect activity down, and then also we've had a lot of rains, but I don't know how much more we're going to get. We're starting to get quite late in the rain season, so you know, if there's no more rain falls and it starts to get cooler, the insect activity is definitely going to die down. So I'm sure the lions will be quite happy about that. And you can see Amber Eyes is still fast asleep. She hasn't moved since she came and lay there. And now with the sun starting to dip down and going low in the sky, there really isn't too much heat. It's become a beautiful evening. It's nice and still. There's really not a breath of wind to speak of. So it is very, very pleasant out here indeed. And sitting with a pride of lions in this beautiful light and with these conditions is quite something. Unfortunately, I also did this loop around just to see if there was anything around, to see if maybe there were some prey animals like impalas or buffalo or zebras that could potentially be close by. But unfortunately, alas, there is very little. I didn't actually see any other animals anywhere near here, so they're going to have to travel if they want to get a meal tonight. Isn't that face quite sweet? You can see the ears are still far too big, and so are the paws. Well, Katie, this is an interesting one, because when they're very, very small, it is very, very difficult to tell whether they are male or female. The only real way is actually just to look underneath the tail and see if there's any sign of male genitalia that are starting to develop. Now, as they get a little bit older, they're starting to get to, 10 months. The little manes are going to start developing on the males. You start to see a thickening of fur and also a size difference between the male and females. So already at this age, you'll start to see the males start to get a little bit bigger, and they'll be a bit bulkier than what the females are. But still, the real kind of definitive way is, unfortunately, you got to wait for them to turn around and then see underneath their tail what's going on there. Now, in this Nkuhuma grouping, I'm not sure what the composition is of male and female. Go across that one cub who's just popped its head over the other one. Oh no, it's gone back. It was such a pretty picture. It had its head over the top of its sibling and was just watching us, seeing what we were doing. It was very, very sweet. Now you see how it's grooming at its mom there, so it's licking around the nipple area to try and stimulate flow of milk. They often do that, and then you'll find that they'll even nudge their mom's teats to try and get more milk coming out. Especially now, like I was saying earlier, that they're losing the ability to suckle from their mothers because the mothers are slowing down on production. So, Reese, you want to know what age the cubs will start to look like the adults? Well, they're going to continue to grow now until they get to about... raw, sorry. I thought you said look like adults. Sorry, Megan. So, raw like the adults? Well, it comes with size. So, the resonation of that sound only comes as they get a little bit bigger. So, these guys will start to roar already. If the pride roars, they'll participate and they'll make these small little squeaky roars that are very, very entertaining. But that deep bellowing roar will only start to come when they get a little bit bigger. So normally you can start to hear that they are developing when they reach about 3.5 years old. That's when they start sounding more like the adults. And by the time they reach 4, 5, that's when they're really able to roar quite extensively and have the same big sound that the adult lionesses do. And I suppose at 4 years old they are really considered an adult because they're starting to breed already at that stage. So But last night, the Birmingham males were in fine voice. They were roaring like crazy, and you'll find that the males are actually louder than the females, and it's due to that size that I was talking about. They'll have a bigger capacity for air in their lungs and therefore produce a bigger sound. And you can see they're all waking up a little bit, just inspecting what's coming in here. So we've got a vehicle that's arrived, and so they are all just checking what's happening and who this is and whether or not they need to be concerned. And as you can see with some of them, they're absolutely not fazed by this vehicle approaching. Such typical lion behavior though, just sleeping around waiting for the day to end and for the night to begin. Now this cub has got quite a funny look to it. See, look how dark those eyes are. It's almost like Amber eyes. So I wonder, it's interesting because that's not Amber Eyes' cub, but she's got very, very similar eyes. Very dark markings around. It's quite an interesting, almost looks like she's wearing eyeshadow. It's quite noticeable. Now, seems to be the skinniest of the cubs that are here. I wonder if maybe she's having a tough time getting all the food. That's why she's trying to get supplement that nutrition from mom. Look at the one in the back eating the grass. Isn't that face very sweet? Look how cute that is. Look at you. Very cute. I always love when they make eye contact like that. Right, so we're going to carry on watching this pride and see whether they wake up, and we're going to go across to James Henry. He's gone from playing with big animals to playing with big dollops.
Sorry about that rather sudden change over to where we are here. We were prepared for you, however, because Herbert spotted what he reckons is possibly the greatest and largest pile of dung in the history of elephants. Now I'm going to get down on my haunches next to it, and just so that you can see how massive this pile of grass and leaves and fruits and goodness knows what else is. It is I reckon weighs in excess of 15 kilograms, maybe up to 20, probably not quite that, but that is well, close to 40 pounds worth of dung that came out of that very same elephant that we were looking at. You can see he's obviously not. He's obviously been either drinking quite a lot. He might have a slight stomach upset, having been eating some foreign foods, perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps he's been on the curry, who knows. But this is not normally how it comes out, of course. It normally comes out in fairly distinct balls. This has come out in a very large sludgy pile. And if I just put my hands above it, I'm not going to touch it, because it's not quite ready for touching yet. There is definitely heat coming off it, so it's not long ago that our elephant deposited it, and already inside it, quite seriously, is a vast array of insects. They're probably, I mean, just on first sight, there are a whole lot of little beetles, at least 2 or 3 species of fly, maybe 4 species of fly. There are gnats all around it. I'd say there are at least 20 species of insect on this thing, and I don't believe it's been here for longer than half an hour. Maybe an hour. Yeah, it's cold on top, so maybe let's say it's been here for an hour. And it is such a rich source of nutrients for so many animals. Good. Well, I don't think it's nice to dwell too much on the dung of the wilderness. Over here, however, we have a very large water body, and this is, of course, Treehouse Dam, which until recently looked a little bit like a very sad excavation quarry, and is now, well, I think we should be doing water sports in here. Craig, do you know how to jet ski? Maybe we should get a jet ski for here. Yes. And we even have a waterfall, Craig. Look at this. Look, everyone, there's a waterfall. I think we should touch that water. It's quite clean. But of course now, if you were living in this area, even though this is clean, that elephant dung, which is sitting directly in front of where this waterfall comes from, would be a warning to you that although it looks pretty clean, it's carrying quite a lot of bacteria and stuff, and I wouldn't drink this water before I'd boiled it. I suppose if you lived in this area, Herbie, would you drink this? You would drink it. See, I think if you've grown up here, and I mean, I could drink it, then probably be sick for a little while, and then drink it again and be absolutely fine. But I think you need to get used to the hohos, as they say. But because it hasn't come through the sand, I'm not sure that I would drink it. And Herbie's just washing his face there. And apparently, Steph, of course, we've seen Steph drink far worse than this, and he drank this water the other day and was absolutely fine. So it's probably okay. But I do know that you've got to be very careful. I suppose you know why it would be okay, although that's elephant dung, it's not toxic. The catchment area is so small, and we know what you'd have to watch out for is a carcass lying somewhere where the water was flowing. So if there's a carcass upriver, obviously you wouldn't want to drink it. But this has kind of bubbled up through the earth, so you'd probably be absolutely fine if you drank this. Good. Herbert looks much refreshed. Do you feel refreshed, Herbie? Yes, yes, good. Shall we continue? The sun is actually just about to go down. I'm going to ask Craig to quickly swing round and show it to you, and then we're going to start heading north. Craig nearly fell into the waterfall, the great Niagara of Treehouse Dam. But as it starts to get a bit darker, we need to start heading towards home. I'm just going to pick up something here that some injudicious person has dropped. Could easily be in a hyena or a baboon, I suppose. And I must tell you that today, for the very first time since my arrival at Djuma, I was awoken by baboons outside my window. I have a little ladder that goes out, down the side of my window and into this little garden outside in which they were playing. And I had horrible visions of them sort of poking their heads in the window and making themselves at home as I snoozed after our long night last night. So I got up and shouted at them and they went away. Then I went back to bed. Now we are doing that again tonight. We're doing those tests, so there isn't going to be a drive tomorrow morning, in case you were wondering about that. No sunrise safari tomorrow, but we'll be back onto normal schedule from tomorrow afternoon. Alrighty. See what else we can find in this general vicinity. My butterfly search, I'm afraid, hasn't gone very well. I became slightly distracted by that rather magnificent elephant. Alright, let's try and see if I can't find a butterfly in here. There isn't a butterfly. It's biting me on my head, but there is a wasp. Can you see it there, Craig? And it's one of those potter wasps. You see it there? Sorry, my audio went there, everyone, because I had to scratch my head and take my hat off. That wasp is the potter wasp that made that pottery sort of ball that we have in the tent. And sometime when I was on leave, those things, I didn't tell anyone that they were in the tent, but they hatched and left. And if you don't know, let me just show you a little bit about what it looked like. This isn't one, obviously, but it was sort of this shape. It was this shape, and in fact I'm going to tell you about this later because Taylor's got something much more pertinent to this day to show you.
Right, so I've gone and positioned myself quite nicely, because remember I promised you that I was going to show you what I look like with my beautiful wings. Here they are. Isn't it lovely? Don't you think it's so beautiful? My two different coloured sarongs, my what are those the toys that you go on New Year's? That's what my antennas are. I don't have a very long curly proboscis. I've still just got, well, my normal mouth that I do normal things with. But I thought that I'd do a couple of cool moves with the silhouette. Look at me go, look at me flap my wings. Have you ever seen a butterfly that does something like this? Never, because you've never seen a McCurdy butterfly before. Right, let me climb off of here. But yes, this is my outfit, and I'm actually impressed that it's lasted so long. Right, off we go. And back in we get. I've got some good news from you as, oh no, this is very embarrassing. What I have to do is because I've stood here quite close to Gary Main, very silly of me, and now I'm just entertaining all the other guides as they drive past and stop and watch me flap my wings, and I'm sure they're thinking that I've completely lost my mind. But I do have some good news for you, and I actually found the spot to where Karula has made her kill. It's in the Mulwati itself, about 100 meters south of Gowrie Main, of the boundary, so in the dip. We can't see it. We actually went there and Brian zoomed in to have a little sneak peek, but sadly it's just out of view. But I don't know where they're going to drink water. And there's baboon pan, which they make.
So, not much that has changed with these lions. They're all still very, very sleepy. And unfortunately, Taylor's gone through a little bad signal area. So maybe she's encased herself in a little cocoon, and that's why there's no more signal. Now, that McCurdy butterfly is definitely the loudest butterfly that we get out here. Most definitely the most talkative one too. So, as far as butterflies go, quite a special one. I did laugh when I saw her a little bit earlier, walking around with her cape and antenna. She looked very spiffy and quite hilarious as well. So I'm sorry if my audio went a little bit. My mic seems to be a little bit funny today. I don't know. Maybe it's having a day of rest today. But like I was saying, as you can see, not very much has changed. The cubs are starting to get a little bit restless. They've been up and down quite a bit, and you can see that one is still scratching a little bit, so that's still the effects of that mange that they had at one point, that they itch. It will get better in time, but it's going to take a while to heal up completely, and so still a little bit of itching, particularly around the leg areas. You can see there's actually a little bit of black on those legs. And that female is out cold. She's got her legs open and is very, very relaxed. Not very ladylike, but very relaxed. She almost looked like something out of the Jungle Book, so like when Baloo is lying on his back and just easing his itches with his paw. That's exactly how she was. It was very entertaining to watch. And you can see she's got some nasty scars on her elbow and on her chest area there, and I wonder if that's not why they're spending so much time in the western side here. And they weren't anywhere near this area the whole of last year, and all of a sudden they've come this way and they don't go really back towards Djuma at the moment. So I think they've had a run-in with the torchwood at some point, and those cuts and scars may be from that pride, and that's why they're spending so much time here. Oh, look at that big stretch. So like I was saying, the cubs are starting to wake up a little bit. I think they are ready to play and to move, but the females are definitely in no way ready for that. It's difficult to negotiate your way through a pile of lions. And the little one is struggling. Look at that little greeting. Isn't that cute? Very sweet. Hello, little one. You can see it's listening to the dove that's calling behind us. So the ring-necked dove, or Cape turtle dove, that is calling from a dead tree and making quite a racket. And when you're a little cub, all of these things are quite curious. So that's why it's just having a little listen as to what's going on and seeing if it's actually within reach to maybe go and chase. Once it's realized it's high up in a dead tree, it's too phased by it, and it will leave it alone. But in the middle of that grouping of lions, it's quite difficult to actually make out who is who. It's all a big cluster of lions in the middle there, and everybody's feet and paws and heads are all over the place. It's quite cute. Right. So, like I say, we're going to carry on staying with them. It is starting to get that time of the day where it's getting a little bit dark, and so we better get James Henry to safety. We don't want an accident. We rather like James around, so let's send you back to James so he can say his goodbyes for the evening.
Bye. I'm not going to say goodbye just yet. We just slightly miscalculated our route home because we didn't want to disturb the hyena den, and it's not far from where we are. So let's just move this way quickly. Then I will continue my story of the wasp, the potter wasp. I'm going to walk slowly down here. Right, now we know where we are. So, what they do is, those wasps, they will grow, or they will build a mud nest on a stick like this. And inside it, they will put paralyzed caterpillars. And those caterpillars will eventually, well, they'll die because the larvae of the wasp will hatch inside their bodies, and as they do that, they eat away the caterpillars. And they're laid sequentially, normally 3 in a nest at a time, or in a potted nest, I suppose. And they'll go 1, 2, 3. This one will mature first because it was the first one laid, and this one last. And then eventually what they do is they actually break away the stick, or there's an opening there near where the stick joins the nest, and out they fly. And the ones that we had, for many of you would have seen them, the ones that we had in the tent flew away while I was on leave. And I forgot to tell anybody about it, so I don't think Tristan, Jamie, Taylor or Brent actually knew anything about them being in there, which is a pity. It's a waste of a good wasp story. Here we have a spider. And then we are going to have to start to move home at quite a speed. And these Digitaria or fingergrass plants have got all sorts of spiders in them. I don't know what kind of spider it is. It looks almost like a community web spider. Right, we're going to try and reboot. We'll probably see you on quarantine clearings, try and clear up our picture. Until then, we'll send you over to the butterfly lady herself.
Let's talk about that now, because I've never seen spiders get scared of anything except spider hunting wasps. Run! It's so funny to watch that happen.
I saved a spider once.
Oh, did you?
You've my house, yes.
Nice.
I saw a spider going on the bricks.
Yeah. I know, yeah, I don't know if they were asking for a link and then nothing happened, so I don't know.
The spider was stuffing on the bricks and stuff. I'm like, what's going on here? What's the spider do?
Yeah.
And I saw this wasp.
Oh no.
The spider trying to make...
Oh, hello. Well, let me tell you what Brian and I were just having a conversation about. Brian proposed a question to me and he'd said, what insect would you like to be? So Brian and I were having a chat, and I to be a spider hunting wasp, and then Brian was telling me a story about this one incident about at his home in Johannesburg, where there was a spider hunting wasp going for a big spider. So I'm going to propose a question to all of you as well. If you could be any insect out there, seeing as though we've been seeing so many of them at the moment, what insect would you be? Hashtag Safari Live. And before I go into anything more about the insects, we'll come back to this conversation, is that please remember that it is our queen, our favorite leopard of the Sabi Sands' birthday tomorrow, Madam Karula. And remember, we were asking for some videos of your favorite sighting of Karula over the last couple of years, and we'd love them, but we need them before the end of the evening. So if you can please post them to the Safari Live Facebook page, it would be really wonderful. And I'm not sure what they're going to do, but it would be just nice to, of course, get them all in one go. And who knows, maybe there's something will be put together, I'm not certain. But please do that, so put them on the Safari Live Facebook page. So Brian, you didn't tell me, you had to tell me what insect you would be.
I'm not sure. Maybe an antlion.
An antlion? Why an antlion, Brian?
Because it's nice to live in the sand.
Nice to live in the sand? And it's pretty amazing how you can throw sand and catch the ants and make them fall down. And then, when you pupate, you turn into something quite beautiful as well. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think I'd like to be a spider hunting wasp. Oh my goodness, have a look. Actually, this view is just so beautiful. And the reason why I'd like to be a spider hunting wasp is because you get to fly around. It's quite lovely. And I've never seen spiders be afraid of anything except spider hunting wasps. They freak out, and I've literally watched them run for their lives to try and get away from a spider hunting wasp. But I think I'd like to do that. I'd like to terrorize spiders because they seem to always terrorize me. But isn't that gorgeous? I think this is literally the last of the sunset that we're going to get now, because it is very, very cloudy and hazy out here. but beautiful nonetheless. And I'm so glad that the clouds, the big clouds, have now disappeared, just leaving us with this haze. But what a magical view. And it's so quiet. So quiet this evening. Just a couple of birds giving last little chirps. I've even started to see the bronze-wing coursers. They've started popping out already, so we'll try and have a look at a bronze-wing courser without putting a spotlight on it, which will be quite nice. And they're also right up against the road. We saw a couple of them, so we will try. Now, speaking of course, what insect would you like to be? Rebecca, you've said that you would like to be a mildred. Now, if you're uncertain as to what a mildred is a millipede. And it's just a name that I like to call them. They're all mildreds. Very nice. I think that would be a good one too. Even being something like a termite or a bee or an ant, I think must be absolutely incredible to see what would go on inside a colony or inside a hive. That would be quite amazing too. I don't know if I'd want to be a butterfly, because look at my antenna, they've gone all wonky now. Just because of their short-lived lifespan, and because there's so many different things that are out to get you. Birds, civets, and genets will eat moths and butterflies. Yeah, no, not great. Chameleons. I think you, unfortunately, don't have a good chance of survival. I suppose that's why they lay so many eggs, isn't it? But we didn't get to see all of our butterflies. We went around having a look, and it seems that we had the most luck on quarantine with those first lot of butterflies, but we haven't really seen anything else since. I definitely haven't seen any citrus swallowtails. I haven't seen not even one pansy this afternoon, which is a little bit disappointing, because it would have been nice to have a look at those. But you know what? We don't just have to have one day for World Butterfly Day. We are lucky we get to look at the butterflies and insects and birds and frogs every single day. My goodness. Sure. That was quick. Hang on, I think it's going to land on this dead tree. Let me go back. There was a Bateleur. No, it's gone. It flew look over the top of our heads. There it is. Well spotted, Brian. And that is an adult Bateleur. Very, very, very cool. Let me go back a little bit. You might just see your screen shake just a bit. You'll get another view. Hopefully. We go back. There it is. I got a bit of a fright. It swooped right down above our head. There's another one. 2 Bateleurs sitting in a tree. They're definitely not KISSINGing. They're just perching. And I'm sure that that's where they'll spend the rest of their night. It's getting dark quite quickly, and like I said earlier, all the birds are starting to settle down now, including the raptors. They are done with their day searching for food. Ah, there we go, that's better. They'll have one last groom, I'm sure. The frogs are coming alive. Oh, that's lovely, Mr. and Mrs. Bateleur. Very nice. Here, the pearl-spotted owlet. Look at those two now having a little groom. And just as impala, zebra, and the various mammal species strengthen the bond between each other by grooming them, well, each other and themselves, so do birds. And this is a very, very nice interaction that we're seeing here. Having a groom, or preening each other's feathers. And I'm sure that's nice. I remember I used to have little parrots and things as I was growing up as a kid. And they were always rescued birds from an aviary. A family friend of ours had an aviary for wild birds that had injuries. And every now and then they'd get the odd one that just didn't quite agree with the other birds and would often get picked on. And then they would come to me and I would look after them. And we had massive areas, and they weren't actually ever in their cages. They were often on our shoulders, and they'd come to the shops and do all sorts of things like that. And the one I had was one of my favorite birds. Were they mating?
Looked like they're about to.
Maybe. Brian said, sorry, I turned my head. I was looking in the distance. I heard some rustling. Brian said it looked like they wanted to mate. Let's see. This could be quite exciting. But I had a black-headed conure, and he'd lost all his tail feathers, so he couldn't fly very well. He almost looked like he'd fly like a Bateleur. And I don't know why he didn't have tail feathers. They just never, ever grew back, which was quite sad. Anyways, I had him, and he was quite lovely, and he loved to have a scratch on the back of the head. That's where I was going with that story. Let's see. I don't think I've ever seen Bateleurs mating before. So maybe that's the male trying to coax the female into saying, hello, darling. Look at that. That's amazing. Now, it is very, very far away. So we're as zoomed in as we can go. But this is fantastic. Look at that. Running its beak through its feathers. That is really, really, really lovely. Like I said, it's something that you don't get to see very often, the intimate interactions between various birds. And I'm glad that we're able to, well, sit and look at it right now. Now, Bree, you were wondering about their wingspan and how large their wingspan is. They're not particularly big eagles. Their wingspan is just shy of about 1.8 meters, so 6 foot. So pretty big, or just shy of 6, yeah, just shy of 6 foot. So not huge. I mean, you look at the fish eagle's wingspan, and they get about 2.5 meters, so much larger. But fairly big, especially when they fly straight over the top of your head. You can definitely feel their presence coming. But also, they fly very, very quietly. They don't make as much noise as you would think. Come on, guys. Give us a show. And if you have ever seen Bateleurs mating before on Safari Live, that would be nice to know. Perhaps it would be a first thing. And if it is a first thing, in that case, we might sit around and see what happens. Hi, guys. Look at there. It's definitely the one on the left doing most of the work, though. Most of the sort of grooming. The one on the left has now put its head down as if to say, right, my turn. I've just given you a massage, now where's mine? I think that's the thing in relationships all the time, isn't it? Now they've gone quiet. No. Shame. And its head down waiting desperately. Okay, well, it seems as though we're not going to get any interesting adult action tonight from those birds. Maybe next time. Now, the sun has, of course, set behind the horizon. James is out on a bushwalk. It's getting a bit dark, so I think he'd like to say goodbye to all of you.
I would like to say goodbye very fervently, everybody, as we have a last look at the, well, there's a bit of gold at the top, I suppose, some nachi, which is a sort of South African orange, if you like, down towards a little bit of crimson, and then the grey of the clouds hanging above the mountains. It's been a lovely walk. Thank you very much for coming along with us. Thank you, Craig, for your efforts. It was a beautiful time with that elephant. So just remember, no sunrise safari tomorrow, but we will be on normal schedule from tomorrow afternoon, which is when I shall see you next. Bye-bye. Oh, sorry, we're not off air yet. We're going to link to Tayla.
Right, we're driving around Bateleurs now. We're not getting up to anything exciting, so we shall see what else we can find here. I wonder what Tristan's up to. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's still with the lions, if he's going to patience to wait out the Nkuhuma slumber, which can be quite a long time to wait, as most of us have done it before. And they never seem to be in a hurry. Only on the menu, then they will, well, pick up the pace and wake up quite quickly. Now we're going to drive on Drakensberg. I think we're going to make our way up towards Buffelshoek Dam and just have a quick scan around there. And then what I'll do is I'll come back south again and we will just check that boundary. I was just listening to the radio. There's no action just yet there. It sounds like they are still around that kill, just hiding up in trees and behind trees that we unfortunately can't get a view of. Let's have a look around here. Okay, nothing. Well, the mud wallows are drying up, which is also quite sad too. I enjoy having all these mud wallows around because you just never know now what you're going to see. Perhaps a buffalo wallowing in the mud, some birds having a bath. You never really know. Ooh. What's making... Oh, I thought it was a monkey making a noise. It's not a monkey. It is a European roller giving off a strange call. Have a listen to this. It sounds like a vervet monkey, don't you think? Oh, that was really cool. I don't know if you thought that that sounded like a vervet monkey, but when a vervet monkey starts to alarm, how it sort of goes... No, I can't do it. Brian, you'll have to do it for me. But that was really cool. Now, I don't know, rollers, I've never really heard rollers mimicking other birds before. That's normally the drongo's job. A couple of flies still hanging around. The drongos do a very good job. Robins aren't bad mimickers either. My favorite bird that mimics out here in the bush, and James was talking about the sabota lark the other day being a great mimic too. And my favorite one is a bird that you used to see quite often down in forested areas, and it's called a chorister robin. They are unbelievable. I've sat and watched one before during the middle of the day, and it was mimicking fish eagle, so it was going... No, that's Pitmay Fro. What is the noise of a fish eagle, man? There you go. It was doing that, and then the next minute, it went from doing a fish eagle starting to mimic a fiery-necked nightjar, which was really interesting. And they can just talk about all different kinds of those birds. So that was really, really nice. I actually miss them quite a lot up to this end of the world. I don't think I've seen one. I don't even think I've seen one in the south where sort of have those riverine thickets. So there's lots and lots of different birds that you get all over these different areas. Now, I'm still waiting to hear about what insects you would like to be. I think it would be interesting. But I'll let you have a little think about that. The hashtag Safari Live, and then hopefully we'll get a couple more responses. We're going to keep bumbling about. We're going to head towards Buffelshoek Dam, like I said earlier. Hopefully I'll find something there. Tristan is still with the lions. Let's go find out if they're still sleeping.
Indeed, Taylor, they are still fast asleep. It was much like our camp this morning. When we woke up early this morning, everybody was exactly like this, flat. We had a long night last night, and everyone was out and about and testing of the new equipment. And so it resembles very much the Djuma research camp last night. Now, some of the cubs are starting to wake up. We had one female that got up, and there is a little bit of rolling around and a bit of yawning and stretching. So I think that they are starting to think about waking up. With lions, though, it does take a bit of time. There's those two hooligans in the back, up to a little bit of shenanigans. They are having a little biting game, which is quite common with the cubs. They do bite and claw at each other, but it almost looks like they're hugging, doesn't it, with the one paw around the back. Very, very cute. And now there's a little groom under the chin, and what cat doesn't like a little tickle under the chin? But like I say, I've seen some of the adults stretching a little bit, and they've been a bit of rolling around, and Amber Eyes did get up very briefly before she flopped right down again. So you can see she's busy rolling around at the moment. She's bonding with one of these little ones. Look at that little bite on the side of the face. That's very cheeky. It's going to have to be a bit careful because Amber Eyes can be a little bit grumpy at times, although there is that video of her when she hugged one of these cubs, which was very, very cute. But you are playing with fire, clawing at her face, little one. Isn't that sweet? And the other one in the background, which is hugging the naughty one. Oh, Vanessa, Ale, you're wondering whether the cubs sleep more than the lionesses. Well, when they're very, very young, yes, they do, because often they get left to go when the adults go and hunt, and in that time they are sleeping most of the time, so they actually don't move around very much at all, and they spend a lot of time resting. Now they're at the age that they're moving with the pride a lot of the time, so whenever the adults are awake, the little cubs are bounding around in the background. And then sometimes you'll find that in situations like this, you can see the females all sleeping, but the cubs are up to no good. So they've started to wake up and play. So they're getting to the age where they're in that naughty phase, and they probably don't sleep as much as the adults, and then they'll regress when they start to get a little bit older. But when they're still very small, then yes, they do sleep more than the adults do. You can see in the background. Can't be easy to sleep though with all these cubs around. You can see there's paws everywhere, and there's biting, and there's tails flicking. It's all just quite messy at this stage. Oh, big stretch. Good afternoon. I love when they get into this playful nature and you find them biting one another and rolling around, and lots of grooming happening. It's this sort of sweeter, softer side of lions when you see them like this.
Can you hear the purring?
No, so Herman's asking me if I can hear the purring. I can't hear the purring. It's not to say that they're not. They could be purring. Sometimes you'll find that the little cubs make these soft little sounds when they are playing with one another. Oh, look at that big yawn. Massive teeth. So that is a good sign. When you start to see those lions yawning like that, it's often a sign that they're going to be getting up and moving. Right, so I believe Taylor's got a feathered friend, so let's get across over to her before that bird flies away.
So we were talking about bronze-wing coursers earlier, and how they were a little bit more active this evening, a bit earlier than they normally were, and here we are. But it was a very angry-looking courser, and look how fast they can run. These birds, they can fly very well. However, if they can flee, they will typically choose to run away. And they've got nice long legs that they can run pretty quickly. Oh, a little ruffle of the feathers. You are not happy today. And of course, I don't think that this bird is unhappy. It's just that evil look with that stripe going behind its eye, giving us a bit of a glare. Oh, are they back? Are they back? Okay, we're going to try and show you. Look here, look, it's running through the grass. They are the tiny little chicks of the crested francolins. Look at them! They're walking right past the car. Hello, guys. And they were dust bathing in the road just now. It was really, really funny. And then they ran through the long grass, and we thought that we weren't going to get another view. But this is fantastic that they've come out. Again, we don't get to see the ground-dwelling birds' chicks very often. Sadly, because most of them don't make it to adulthood. Lots of things will eat them. But this is quite a few of them. I counted at least 5, if there weren't even any more. And I wish that they would come back to the middle of the road. Because it's one thing to see adult crested francolins dust bathing, but to see the little ones trying to mimic the adults is hysterical. And now it has gone from a normal bird scene to a Jurassic Park scene as they move through the grass. And you can just see the tops of the various grass species moving around now. It reminds me of that scene with the velociraptors running through those massive fields. I don't know what had in the fields, and you just see all that grass, the sea of grass sort of moving around. And off they go. And I'm sure that they will go find a nice little spot to settle down, because you wouldn't want to be wandering around all alone with little chicks on a night like tonight. All right, Corsa. Thank you, Corsa. It was nice to get the Corsa too. So Hannah, you've said that you would like to be a honeybee because you like honey very much. And Suella, you've said that you want to be a mosquito so that you can bug your sister. That's quite a good idea. I wouldn't mind being a mosquito either. It would be very nice, I think. Or you know what else would be a good one, as a cricket. If you really want to annoy somebody, become a cricket and then hide away in their room in a spot where they can't find you. And then just as they're trying to go to sleep, you start stridulating and you're making a loud noise. And then, well, that'll be a good way if you want to annoy somebody, I think. We've just jumped on. And we'll have a quick look around here. There's just elephant activity wherever you go at the moment. But because the bush is so thick, and like we saw this afternoon, we were actually sitting at Vuyatela Dam quite a bit, but we couldn't even hear or see that herd of Ellies that quickly popped down to have a swim. The same thing's going here. They're just in between the roads at the moment, but they've definitely left a lot of dung and a lot of broken branches in the middle of the roads for us to sort of try and navigate around like I'm doing at the moment. And there's this one big marula tree that was pushed over along here. Who are you? Who are you? There's a bird that just flew, but it didn't fly like an owl, so we won't put a spotlight on it. This is most likely not an owl. Now, of course, Brian gets all the requests tonight, so we will try and find things that Brian wants to look for. When the other thing that he wanted to see was a chameleon. Chameleon. So the lights are on, the chameleon lights are on, and we are. It's not quite dark enough for a spotlight, so I'll pick that up in a couple of minutes. We'll just carry on like this for the meantime and see what else we get. Around here. No, that's just a bunch of grass all tangled up together. Maybe we get something exciting at the dam. I don't know what I'd like to see there. I wouldn't mind male lions. I haven't seen boy lions for quite a long time now. And it's nice just to hear them calling every night again. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to fall asleep to the sound of the wildlife, the hyenas, the lions. There really is no better way. Oh, very exciting news. Tristan's patience has finally paid off. And maybe my talk of the lions too inside of their ears, but the lions is getting up, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go across to Tristan and then Nkuhuma Pride.
Well, indeed, the lionesses have just started to get up, and they've come and laid right next to the vehicle. There's some of them that are lying just behind us now, and some of them just off to the side there. You can see there's one lying right there, and we are being enveloped by a pride of lions. It's quite spectacular, I can tell you that. And look at the sky in the background there, these beautiful purples in the back. It is quite something. The only problem is one of them went to the toilet right next to our car door, so the smell that's emanating from the side of the vehicle is unpleasant, to say the least. There's that smell of rotten meat, which is not very pleasant. So that wasn't very kind of them, but so look at this female now moving off. I was hoping they were going to go the opposite way, because behind me, well, to my right hand side, is a beautiful pan, and what I wanted was all of them to go and have a little drink at the pan, but it seems like they're moving more towards the road. Now this lioness has also just popped up her head and is taking a big yawn. So I just need to answer the radio quickly. Yeah, Monet, it's just myself here. You can make your way as a second. Copy. I'm just going to be changing with another vehicle, so you can make your way and they'll join with you. So you can see the cubs are just watching just to see what the adults are up to. They're just checking that the moms are not going too far. And now that they're happy that everyone's laid down, they've begun to lie down too, and one little cub is trying to suckle. It was quite funny though when we were watching that one playing around with Amber Eyes' face, and I was saying that they need to be a little bit careful, and sure enough, Amber Eyes let out a growl and a little bite, and that was the end of the game, and she got up and walked over to the side of the car and lay down again. Isn't that sweet though? Look at them. That is a little bundle of lion cubs. Look at them playing and grooming. Isn't that sweet? So, Michelle from Turkey, you want to know whether Amber Eyes is the biggest of all 5 of these lionesses. Well, she's probably joint biggest. There's one of the other females, one of the older females, that is also a massive individual. So the 2 of them are quite big and bulky. But funnily enough, one of the last litter of cubs that they have, the only surviving female out of that litter, she is actually taller than Amber Eyes. So she may not be as bulky, but she is taller, which is interesting, because I wonder if in time, once she gets a little bit older, she's still quite young now, she's only about 4.5, so once she gets to 8-9 years old, I wonder how much bigger she's going to be, and if she does bulk up like Amber Eyes and that other female have. But isn't this spectacular, just to sit with them and watch them as they slowly start to awaken from their midday slumber and they start to get going and into the night. Now, you can see they pop their heads up every now and then, and that's when the lionesses get up to move. They're seeing what's going on and just checking to make sure that they're not being left behind. And like I say, look at the sky in the background. Those clouds are just spectacular with these lions lying underneath that. You cannot ask for a better way to finish your day, or in our case, start our day. We are still going to be doing testing tonight on the cameras, so tomorrow morning we won't be out again, but we're going to be out throughout the night and trying to see if we can follow what goes on and put the cameras through their paces without using any lights. It is quite amazing that there is this technology available, so hopefully it will be a successful test. Oh, look at that. A little bit of grooming and bonding. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that amazing? You can see how alert they are now. Their whole demeanor has changed. So as we've come into the dark of the night, the demeanor of these lions has gone a little bit different. They are quite alert. The cubs are poking their heads up every now and then and listening very carefully. Even the lionesses have woken with the darkness and are listening and looking and checking around them. I reckon that these guys are hungry and they do want to hunt, so I'm sure they're going to go. Oh, that's a very polite little cub. Thank you for not going to the toilet next to us like your moms and aunties did, because that wasn't very pleasant. So, Michael, you're wondering if the cubs are old enough to be spotlighted. So, they have been given the go-ahead to put lights on them. They are over 8 months old, so the youngest ones are about 7.5 now. So, we have been given the go-ahead to be able to spotlight all of them, which is good news. So, we can. Now, I'm actually not even using a spotlight. I'm just using a little light from the side of the car. That's just a full light, so it's not very bright at all. And it allows us to be able to film these guys without too much impact. And that's why we actually are doing these tests, is because we're trying to get to a situation where we're going to be able to film wildlife in complete darkness, so we don't have to use any lights and we don't have to bother any of the cubs or prey animals. And if we're in a hunting situation, that we can actually follow what goes on without any effect to the animals whatsoever. So that's the reason for all of these tests that we've been doing the last night and tonight. Look at these two playing. Isn't that a sweet moment between mother and daughter? Now, the only thing about us sitting here next to this water is that the mosquitoes are intolerable tonight. I think I have been bitten already probably about 10 times, which is no good. I have blood that is mosquitoes seems to absolutely love, so this is not very pleasant for me, but hopefully the lions will be a little bit more tolerant of the mosquitoes than what we are. They don't seem too fussed by it. But isn't that beautiful? And like I was saying, you can see there's a lot more sort of alertness. They're listening very, very carefully. They're trying to just check what's going on around them, trying to listen for any signs of potential prey items. Also, it's at this time of the day that often we will find lions roaring and trying to vocalize their territory, and so they're probably also listening out in case they hear other lions call, and they can then determine who's around them, if there's any males or other females or other prides, and keep these little cubs safe. It is pretty incredible that they're able to determine who each lion call belongs to and whether or not that is a threat to them. See, they're all just staring. That's because there's another lioness that's just moving through the bush behind us. So they're just listening and watching her moving. And most of the lionesses are actually lying on the road now. They're just settled in grooming, and they probably have gone to the road to do their grooming, because in this thicket that we're in and this long grass, there's going to be lots of parasites. There's going to be lots of ticks that have crawled on them during the day. So when they're grooming, it's better to do it on the road and get rid of all of that and make sure that they're in good condition before they start their evening hunting exploits. So Tommy, you want to know who gives the go-ahead to spotlight these cubs and who decides when it's okay and why is it decided at that age? Well, it's a collection between the guides that are in the area, so all the head rangers, which is basically the heads of department, they get together and they discuss it, and we decide when we're going to be able to spotlight them. Now at 8 months, generally the reason why is that the research that's been done is that spotlights don't affect the cubs' eyes at 8 months. Also by then they are big enough to be able to start getting away from other predators, so they can move, and they move with the pride, so it's not like they're going to be left here by themselves, and so that's why we are able to do it at that time. You can also see with these lions, if this light was really bothering them, then a lot of them wouldn't even look anywhere near it, and we've seen a number of them staring directly at the light, just looking. They don't seem to be too fazed by it. Also the light that, like I say, that we're using at the moment is a very soft white light. It's not a spot, so it's not blinding them in any way. It's more a floodlight that's just casting some light over the area. Now, the spotlights are not actually a problem to a cat's eyes, or the adults, because of the way that their eye works. They have a retina and an iris that is able to open and close very quickly, so as the light comes into their eye, they can respond very fast to that light, and they just close up that pupil, which allows them not to be blinded, and so there actually has no effect. I was talking to a vet about it the other day just to find out and see what his thoughts were, and he said there is no problem with lights in a cat's eyes. They are able to adapt and adjust their eyes very quickly, and they don't have any ill effects from it, which is good news. Right, so we're going to just see if they start to get moving, and while we do that, let's go across to Tayla and see what she's gotten up to on her little bit of evening safari.
We are looking for anything. We went past Bivelshoek Dam, but sadly there was not even a bird there. Ooh, I see eyes. I think we could have lots of Bushbaby. Yes, we do. I'm just going to find a gap. You see that reflection, don't you? There's 2 pairs of eyes in that guarri tree. There they are. There's one. It's got a baby in its mouth. Does it? Oh, look at that. That is Mom carrying around her little ones. Look at that. I've never seen this before. I've only ever read about it. So she's obviously moving them. That was amazing. And I think I actually saw where the nest is. There she is. You can just see the reflection, the tapetum flash. That is amazing how she carries them too, almost by the scruff of the neck. Well, not quite the scruff, more on the back. Come on, where are you going to go to next? Now we've lost them in the thicket, but I think, Brian, I actually saw where they were nesting. Let me go forward, because I can see a reflection here. Do you see? Let me find a gap, but do you see where I'm talking about? That I think there's a hole. You see there? There we go. Yes, you see there's that hole right in the tree. There's a little head popping out. There's another little one. And I'm pretty certain that that is a youngster that is in the hole there waiting for Mom to come back and move it. That's amazing, Brian. Have you ever seen that before? Wonderful. Pulling out all the stops this afternoon. I don't even know what you call a baby Bushbaby. Bushbaby lit? What do you think, Brian? Bushbabyini, Bushbabette. There's another one. Perhaps you can give us a helping hand over here. If you know what a little Bushbaby is called, please let us know. Hashtag Safari Live. It'll be quite interesting. Please use the big World Wide Web to help if you don't know yourself. It'll be nice. We can all learn here. I'm trying to keep my spotlight as still as I can. This is so exciting. Now, I don't know where she's going. And I don't know why she's moving them now, because that looks like a good little hole, unless there's perhaps a build-up of parasites, Or maybe there's been a predator that's been lurking around that's encouraging her to move her youngsters. As you can see, it's quite curious. It looks like it wants to come out. And probably in the same way that lions and leopards tell their little ones to stay behind, I'm sure that it has received a similar instruction from its mother. That was honestly one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Hi, little guy. That is really, really spectacular. Now I'm dying to see where Mom has gone, because I'm looking for other trees that could potentially house them. Let me have a quick scan. Maybe we pick up on them again. She obviously can't move very, very quickly. Youngster, let's have a look. There they are. Well, there she is.
Well, welcome back everybody. I've just left the Nkuhuma Pride because they've all gone to sleep again. They all lay down, and so they are having a nice rest, which is good. I'm sure they are going to get hunting, but it's that time of the day where they're going to start kind of moving around, and we've got to start heading home because we're quite far away. So we're going to start heading back to camp as well, so we don't be too late. But what an amazing sighting that was. I'm so excited to have seen the cubs again and to have seen the adults all back together. And they all look good. They're a little bit skinny, but they do look good. So it is really, really quite nice to see them. Now, just another vehicle coming past us here. So this is Steffa, and he's with our fancy cameras, and they are going to go and test the nocturnal capabilities there. So I'm just going to pull off the road for them and let them come past. Now, I'm just going to be a bit careful because it is quite thick here, so we're going to let Steph come past us, and I'll tell him exactly where to go so that he knows, because Steph hasn't driven for a while. Hello Steph, how are you? Very well, thank you. Cool, so you just straight down and then turn right. Alright guys, so while I just guide Steph as to where he's going to go, we're going to go across to Taylor, who's got a little bouncing Bushbaby. So yeah, just straight on.
We went back to the one, and I apologize, we lost signal here. It seems as though gremlins will look a little bit like a Bushbaby. And they're hanging around here. Just a bit of a low signal. So we're waiting now because Mom has dropped off the other one in the African wattle. So surely she's going to come back now to fetch this other youngster. And Megan, have we received any answers as to what you call a baby Bushbaby? Sounds a bit strange saying it like that. Okay. Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, you said that a baby Bushbaby is an infant. That makes sense. That's pretty easy. I thought that we were going to be a bit more creative. It would have been nice to have had a different type of a name for a Bushbaby, but infant it is. Thank you very much for your handy help there, Kitty Kitty Bang Bang. Now the patience game comes. Now it's obviously very exciting to sit and watch lions sleep, and then obviously the patience waiting for them to wake up. But I am itching in my seat. I cannot wait for Mom to come back. And I'm also quite curious, Brian, I think I can see them right in front of us. So I want to quickly aim these lights. We get more. There's Mom. So Mom's not coming back. It's got the baby again! No ways! That is incredible. Look at that, and it's such a clear shot too. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Hey Brian, how amazing is this? Now she's got a good tree, which she's let go now. You can see it's actually not too accustomed to climbing around just yet. Maybe there's a hole in this dead tree. It would be a good spot. But I think she is slightly panicked. Come on, girl, take her where you need to take her. Wow! And how amazing is that she's able to jump those lengths while holding her infant. I think that's an incredible talent. I mean, can you imagine holding a baby as a human and trying to do long jump? Never. Or high jump. You would never be able to be safe and keep your little one out of harm's way. Oh, wow, that was amazing. That is really, really cool. That's one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen. Like I said, I've only ever read about it. You can see just the leaves rustling slightly, so she's sitting back there somewhere. She's moving around. Hopefully she'll pop out again. Now, it's very brave of her to try and move those young ones because she's quite vulnerable. There we go. There she is. You can just see again the reflection of her eyes. And they also don't mind the spotlight too much. So hopefully she does find a safe spot for her infants, because there are lots and lots of owls around. And at a disadvantage like this, she'd become a tasty meal very, very quickly. Oh, I can hear hyenas too. They're calling. There we go. She's saying, come on, hold on tight now. Oh my goodness, my heart is racing. This is so exciting. Hi, little one. And I'm sure Mom must get very, very tired moving around like that. It can't be easy. Sorry, I'm going to try and angle my other light towards there as well. So I apologize if we lose a bit of light. I'm just stretching around. I suppose that's the best we can do for the moment. I can't shift too much because I don't want to scare them anymore. But off she goes. Now they're able to, of course, jump really far, and if hopefully we can get a closer view at some point. They've got massive hands with these big fingers, which they will snatch insects right out of the air. And tonight's a good night because it's pretty warm, so there'll be lots of moths, lots of little insects flying about for her to snatch up. Oh, there's another one to the top left. This is a tree filled. There we go. You've got it in your screen. Bottom right. Yeah, is that not the different one? Is it? No, that's the other one that's coming down. So if you carry on watch it, there's actually another one. So that one that's moving around, if you go a little bit down if you zoom in right there. Oh, was that Mom? I've got confused. I thought I saw a third pair of eyes. No, I'm going crazy. That's the little baby over there. That was Mom just moving around. Look where she's going now. Now, I also don't know why she hasn't gone back to collect the other one yet. I hope it's not us bothering her, so we won't stay here for too much longer. We'll just watch her for a little bit more. Maybe she was going to scout out to make sure that the area was safe before moving that one. That one's resisting now, saying, Mom, I don't want to be carried anymore. This is ridiculous. This is embarrassing. People are watching me from all over the world. This is very special. There she's having a groom. Little one learning to jump. And like I said, not quite capable just yet. Just doing small jumps. And making shorps. A little bit uncoordinated. So sometimes they leap. But then the back feet stay behind and then they almost end up holding on tightly now. And off they bounce. Where are you going, girl? She hasn't quite made her mind up. Oh, wow. And up she goes again. Oh, the little one's following her. Getting a bit braver. Go and fetch your sibling. Up she goes. Now, I don't know how old these little ones must be, but I don't think they'll be too tiny. Maybe a few weeks. Should we see if we can have another look at this one on the trunk of the tree? I can't see little eyes or a little head. So it looks like it's gone back in towards that hole. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's like it sees the light and goes, what are you guys up to? Very curious. Which is almost the complete opposite behavior of what we see of the adults. Normally when they see the light, I don't know if they're a little bit scared of it, but they don't like it too much. They, of course, get a little bit used to it. And these little ones seem to be quite curious. We'll see if we can get a better view, but it seems as though Tristan has found a special bird. Let's go take a look and find out what owl he's got.
Indeed, we've managed to find a spotted eagle owl, which is not one we see very often. They really are on this road, and it seems to have caught something. I can't see what it is. It maybe is a little shrew or murid, which is a little mouse of some sort, but there is a spotted thickney in the background that is vocalizing. So I was just thinking maybe it's one of its chicks that this owl has managed to find. I can't see nicely what it is because of the way the owl is facing, but isn't that incredible? Now, we don't see too many of them, and we used to see a lot more than we have been. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why there hasn't been that many. It could be to do with the fact, we'll just go in quickly on the owl. Sorry, had it in its mouth, whatever it was. It could be due to the fact of the drought. We had far less rodents around, and so the success of the breeding of these owls maybe was a little bit diminished because they couldn't find enough food for the chicks, and that's maybe why we haven't had a huge amount of them around in the last 2 years. But whatever it was, it swallowed it all. There's nothing left now, and I'm sure it's going to take off fairly shortly. Now, if it takes off, just listen to how quietly it flies. So I'm going to keep quiet in the hope that it does take off. Now, typical, it won't do it, but owls have very specialized wings. So did you hear not one little bit of sound made by that owl? So it has these specialized wings that have little ridges in them that cut through the air and therefore create less drag, and it makes the owl fly a little bit quieter so that when it is hunting at night, it is completely quiet. Isn't that incredible? Now it's gone up into this tree, so I want to see if it's going to sit there for us a little bit longer, because I haven't seen one of these owls in a long time, and I love owls. They are one of my favorites, and these spotted eagle owls are one of the prettiest ones that we have. They are quite big as well. It's not as big as the giant eagle owl or the rose eagle owl that we do see. I think James was talking about them yesterday. But isn't that beautiful? And look at those big yellow eyes. And so that's one of the ways that you can determine between them and the Cape Eagle Owl. Now, Cape Eagle Owl doesn't actually occur here, but if you were in an area where both occur, you would find that the Cape Eagle Owl tends to have a more orange colored eye, although it's not a way that you can ID them fully, because there is variations within eye colors, and the Cape Eagle Owl does sometimes get this lighter color, but generally they have a more orange coloration. But isn't that pretty? And you can see those facial markings, the facial discs around the eyes, and the way that that neck can swivel almost 360 degrees is really very, very cool. Isn't that spectacular? I wonder what you were eating. I think it had a little mouse or something. That's what I'm going to go for. I don't think it was a chick, because that bird would have been going a lot more crazy, and it would have been dive bombing this owl and probably trying to chase it away. So I think it was more a mouse than anything else, and the bird was just hovering about just to make sure the owl wasn't going to swoop down and grab it at some stage. I'm sure it's going to fly off. Often when you see a bird defecating like that, then it's a signal that they're thinking about flying. That is absolutely spectacular. So hopefully for some of you out there that keep birdless, this is a new one for you. I know I haven't seen one in a long time. And off it goes. Very, very, very nice indeed. Right, so we're going to see what else we can find. That's a good nocturnal find for us. I wonder if there's any other little nocturnal surprises that lie in wait. And we're going to go and check around Impala Plains, the western side of Djuma, see if maybe we get lucky with a spotted cat. We've been struggling a little bit with the leopards. Karula's been on a kill in Little Gari with the cubs, and so we've been struggling a little bit to actually see them. Got to negotiate this bump without throwing Herman off the back of the vehicle. Herman, you still on the back there? Excellent. Just gone past a little muddy wallow, and I was hoping that there would be some nice frog calls, but alas, not any frogs calling there. Not very good English either. No frogs calling, should I say. Do apologize about that. James will be very upset if I butcher the English language. He's like our English teacher. He makes sure that we're all speaking properly and are using the correct pronunciation. he and Taylor were having a great debate about pronounce and pronunciate and how those all work. I suppose I should also be dodging trees while focusing on speaking proper English too. It's all falling apart a little bit this evening. But you can see in the headlights the number of insects that are flying around at the moment. It's amazing to see how many more there are than the last few nights. The last week we've seen very little insect activity, and then last night and tonight it's absolutely exploded with insects, and we have them all over the place, which is making driving a little bit challenging. I keep getting hit in the face and in the eyes by beetles, which is not that pleasant. At least the dung beetles have stopped. So in the summer months when the dung beetles come out, it's very unpleasant, because you drive along and all of a sudden there's this flying dung beetle and you hit it with force, and it's got these sharp little spikes on its legs, and they hit you in the eye, and then you can't see where you're going and you almost swerve off the road and into the bushes, and it's all quite dramatic. And I've actually seen one or two guys with some big swollen black eyes before from hitting dung beetles at some speed. So Megan's asking me a question, but I can't hear exactly what Megan said. Megan, can you repeat that? How's my butterfly? On my butterfly list today, hold on Megan, let me just count so that I can work it out. I had the comet diadem, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 8 out of 10. Megan? Now, unfortunately, we didn't get them all on camera, but I did show Herman a couple of them off camera. So we got 8 out of 10 on World Butterfly Day, which is not a bad run at it. And I was actually looking at how many butterflies we do see in the Kruger National Park, because one of the kids asked me earlier and I wasn't sure. I said about 40 or 50 of them in this part of the park, which is probably about right, but in the Kruger National Park, 256 species of butterfly, which is a lot. Right, so we are going to say our goodnight from this vehicle. Herman and I are going to send you across to Taylor, who is going to be our little butterfly that's going to wish you good night on Butterfly Day.
Thank you, Tristan. I was actually thinking that sighting we had with the Bushbaby was actually quite terrifying, because what happens if she came and she tried to attack me because she thought I was a tasty snack? That would have been disastrous. Or it would have made for great entertainment. I'm not sure, you can decide. Now please remember to send in all your videos of your favorite sightings of Karula. You can post them on the Safari Live Facebook page. Please do that as soon as possible. It would be wonderful. Let's see, we actually had a chameleon just a moment ago. The gremlins were there. That was one of the things that Brian wanted to see. So how exciting was that? Sadly, we didn't get to show you, but you never know, our luck may turn again. And it seems as though the bush is supplying us with some fantastic sightings for Brian's last drive. So maybe, you never know, we could pick up a little one here just on the grass. But let's have, well, I'm going to have to say goodbye to all of you. It's been absolutely wonderful from all of us here at Wild Earth. A big thank you to everybody that participated today. And a very, very sad goodbye to my dear friend and our family member here at Wild Earth, Brian. And of course, the thumb. We will miss you lots. We hope that you come and visit. We'll see you again, of course, for the Sunset Safari tomorrow afternoon. See you soon.